Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this special Monday. Melissa Neely and myself are going to talk about your shadow side and about shadow work. This is going to be kind of an introduction to the shadow side and kind of what the shadow side is and what Melissa's perceptions of the shadow side is, what mine is. And then we're going to do two quick meditations. And then at the end, we'll have questions. If anybody has any questions, just put them in the chat. And I think I'm going to start with Melissa. Melissa, what is your either feeling or definition on the shadow side, or what your shadow side is, if you don't mind sharing?
So for me, the shadow side is the parts of ourselves that we don't like to look at. That's why we keep it in the shadows. You know, when we think about the shadows, it's usually the place that we're afraid to go. It's the stuff that we ignore. People are usually scared of, if you see a shadow, people are afraid of it. So it's the stuff we don't want to deal with that we basically have locked away and ignored and thought it would just go away on its own. And we need to do our work to look at it, to accept it, to integrate it into ourselves. Anger, for example, is a shadow attribute. Jealousy is a shadow attribute. Being able to, just all of those things that we don't like to deal with. I mean, we want to all be love and light, but let's face it, we're human, and there's other sides to ourselves that aren't so, love and light. And what do we do with those? How do we honor those? So that's really what shadow work is for me.
Yeah. So I will say that when people set out on a path of personal development, what they tend to do is they look at the light side of everything, where they're connecting in with source, they're connecting with their angels, their guides. But then sometimes we get to a point where if we want to go deeper, we're going to have to start looking at those darker aspects of our being. And for some people, that might stop their personal development journey. Like, I don't want to look at the side of me where I was greedy and I was an asshole and I was a bitch and I was a terrible person, and or I was treated poorly, where I put my shadow side away. But in order for us to evolve and grow as spiritual people, your shadow side needs to be looked at and it has to be worked with. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And there's definitely triggers. I will say, I don't know about for you, but for me, if there's aspects of myself that, I haven't dealt with, then what happens? I destroy relationships. I destroy, my spirit.
Ourselves.
Yeah. I have, doubts. I might go into depression. I might go into anxiety. I might be like, oh, I'm a terrible person. Like, this is where all of these limiting beliefs get stored and kept into our cellular tissue, so that I'm not enough. I don't want to be seen. I'm a piece of shit. I'm all with profanity today. All of these loops that run around in our head, this is where it's developed, is within our shadow side.
Or the I don't fit, or for people who've been bullied, or they don't want to talk about who they are because they're afraid of not being accepted.
Yeah.
Those are all shadow selves. Mm-hmm. It's really how do you work with that, and how do you give it healing? Mm-hmm. One of the visualizations that I got of it, because I've been trying to do my own shadow work to get ready for this, which it's not fun. Like, no. It has to be done. There's nothing fun about it. It's chaotic. It's sad. It's frustrating, but that healing's on the other side of it. So what they showed me was a dandelion root in a garden, right? So we're kind of the garden, our personalities, who we are, just picture kind of that garden. And then there's a dandelion root and a dandelion flower. And if you've ever done gardening and you've had to pull out a dandelion root, they are some of the hardest ones to get all the way up. So what usually happens is we just pick off, the top part, the part that we see, and we never get to the root. So doing shadow work is really getting to the root of what we're trying to bring to the light.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree. I mean, I will say that these are definitely the most afraid things that we have to face within our beings. And like I said before, in order to move forward on your spiritual journey, these are things that have to be embraced, have to be looked at, have to be healed, and have to move forward. one of the things I have kind of learned about our shadow side is naming those different personalities within us. So let's say I have a bitchy Betty, or an arrogant Andy, or a selfish Sally, and then kind of name those personalities within me. And that way it's not as scary to work with them because I've named them. And then it's like, okay, we'll tap into, okay, on this moment, this experience, I acted like this, and try to integrate selfish Sally within me. So then I'm giving Garrett, like,
I love that.
It's like getting on the bus with all of your personalities, and be like, and you're the driver, yourself is your soul and your higher self working together, and bringing in your team of angels and spirit guides and whoever you feel most comfortable and protected with, and then bringing those dark aspects of you forward, and then learning something from them, because in order to you're going to learn the true essence of your nature by working with these fragments of yourself, because you're working with the most aligned side of yourself. Why not work with the most dark side of yourself as well? Did I lose you?
No, I'm still here. That was a good explanation.
I'm like,
I was thinking of like other personalities, passive aggressive Patty.
Yeah, passive or stuck in the past Patricia. Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah, I think that it's important for our spiritual path to do this, but it's really important for our everyday path too.
oh,
absolutely. I mean, we all just want to become better. I would hope we all want to become better individuals, better, put your title on it, who you are, where you are at work, who you are within your family. However those things fit for you, those are the things that we're trying to fix within ourselves. And the thing about this is it's a personal understanding of yourself. Nobody else can help you. Nobody else can read this for you. This is you. This is also looking at when X happens, I get triggered, and why is that happening? And it's really getting to that root of the why. Let's clean that up, and then the trigger part of things dissipate.
I mean, I can tell you when I was younger, I was definitely a very jealous person. So, I was very jealous and very, I didn't trust people and whatnot. And I definitely sabotaged relationships with that. I was not the most pleasant person. And I've had to work through that for probably 15 years. And now I'm not triggered by those moments, but what's that saying? What is it? What you resist persists, So it's kind of like, I'm going into another topic, I'm sorry. But like when you struggle with abundance, or maybe struggle with manifestation with money, you may put that negative connotation. Well, I'm never going to have money. I'm always going to be poor. I'm always going to be this. And then how does the universe respond to you? By continuing to keep you poor, to not receiving manifestation, to not being open. So you've had to clear out, like for me, I've had to clear out poverty mindset. I've had to, there were times when I was very young and my parents didn't feed us. My dad was off. My mom wasn't able to take care of us. We ate cat food. Is that something that I want to admit? No, but that's something I've had to work on and something I've had to move forward from in order to now be able to manifest my desires. But I had to work with that dark seller side of me, shadow side of me, because that was really toxic and traumatic times. But I've had to work through it to be more open for manifestation and abundance and a powerful life. You know what I mean?
And it's really to sit on the center of your throne. I think we all have a throne that exists within us, the seat of the soul. And for us to really be squarely in that, we have to have an understanding and a balance of who we are and of our emotions. For people who maybe have knee-jerk reactions, that's the reason behind that. That's a shadow work that has to be looked at. And I think shadow work comes in physical ways and it comes in emotional ways as well.
I think by not acknowledging the shadow aspects of your being causes dis-ease within your body. So
Absolutely.
if I have this need, like you said, knee-jerk responses, how many people do we know in our lives that have temper tantrums over really dumb things? And you're just like, really?
It's the why behind the what. When you see somebody react to a certain way, don't automatically think that it's you. Really look for the why behind what's happening.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I do want to say that by facing these aspects of ourselves, we become free to experience our glorious self totally. Like it's not just half and half, it's all of us integrated, the good, the bad, the dark, and the light. And I know that for a lot of us light workers, one of our roles is to transmute darkness into light. And if we haven't worked with our own shadow side and the darker aspects of our being, then how are we truly embracing the light worker essence of ourselves?
And they don't all have to be something that you would think of as a negative quality.
Yeah.
Maybe you work too much. Being hardworking isn't a bad thing, but if it's to the point where it's taking you away from fun or from family or from, really being a bigger part of your community, then you need to look at, why is that happening? What am I running from? What am I ignoring within myself?
What am I muting? Like that makes sense. Like if you're always on your cell phone, I know that's something I have to work on myself. Like I know I'm on my cell phone too much. And it's like what you just said, what am I distracting myself from? Am I distracting myself from being present in my family because for whatever reason? Am I exhausted because I've worked too much? You know what I mean? Yeah, that's good. That's a really good point. I'm like, what am I?
And this doesn't happen overnight.
No.
Like you said too, it takes a lot of time. Don't try to unpack everything at once because it would be a lot, and if you're really working through someone or, with yourself of different traits, don't be afraid to reach out to counselors or therapists or, X, Y, and Z to help you get through. But it's you that has to identify what those pieces are. And I mean, it's the deep stuff. It's not just the really light coding. You have to get to the deepest part of it if you really want to make a change for yourself to improve.
Yeah, it's not part of it. Oh, this person cut me off in traffic. It's getting to the deep root of, well, why is it that when this happens, I get so angry? Like for me, I know something that I'm currently working on, and this is going to sound probably pretty silly, but I'm like, why do I get so upset when people drink alcohol? Like, why does it bother me? I mean, I know why, but I know I need to work on it, but I'm like, I know, but it really bothers me. And it bothers me when it's like, oh, I'm no, it's like, why do I get so angry? So angry. And even though I drink wine myself. So, I mean, here I am, a hypocrite.
No, it's just looking at triggers of others, and how that relates to you. People don't like Mercury retrograde because it's the shadow side when Mercury goes into retrograde. But that's really the best time for the things that we need to work on that come to the surface.
Definitely.
And even when Venus was in retrograde, I mean, those were different aspects based on that energy to look at the opposite side or the shadow side.
I'm just thinking about that. I'm like, ooh, yeah, Venus. Ooh.
Yeah, that was a heavy one for me. That was a lot more than Mercury had been. Not that I want to like tempt Mercury to give me something more difficult. I'm good.
You're like, no, thank you. Thank you all. Does anybody have any questions about working with the shadow side before or Melissa, do you have anything else?
No, that's
Mary
it.
Or Jess, do you have anything else that you might want to share or ask before we do a little meditation?
And there's nothing wrong with the shadow side. Don't look at that as a negative on yourself. Again, this is about integrating, those pieces. Like if you're going to get angry, how can you get angry in a constructive or a healthy way? We're all going to be upset. There's no way we can go through life without being upset.
Oh, absolutely.
At what level? How do you honor that? Maybe instead of getting mad and throwing something, you have a conversation about it. That's honoring it. That's how you work at that integration to be in a more healthy, positive way for yourself.
Yeah. How can you therapeutically work with those triggers inside of you?
And eventually gets to the point where it's legit. I don't like that fake it till you make it kind of a thing. I'm more of a dream it until you believe it person. But you know, when you do the real work and you get that root out, it really does become who you are. It's not pretending or having anxiety while you're trying to be a way that you think you're supposed to be.
Absolutely. That's really good. That's really good. And I do feel like as you work through it, I'm a believer that if you're not listening to the lessons will get louder. It's going to be the same thing with your shadow self. If you're not listening to the shadow self within you, it's just going to get louder and more angry, more volatile, more, you know, you have to work with that to be able to move forward with it. And it's going to get louder because the universe likes to give us lessons, and they like for us to, I do believe that part of our experience here on earth is to kind of evolve and to ascend and to really honor and grow and to really accept lessons and learn from them. And if I'm not going to accept the side of me that's a bitch and work with her and honor her and respect her and, you know, transform her, I'm just going to become a bigger bitch.
You know, I think one of the things that is a shadow work that's kind of a simple shadow work for people to do if it resonates. But I just know a lot of people that I've read lately have and I've had this too, a really hard time with boundaries.
Oh, 100%.
A really hard time with boundaries. And how do you set healthy boundaries and how do you stick to them without feeling guilty?
Or feeling depleted or feeling taken advantage of. Yeah, I will say that.
I know I need time out. You know, I need time for myself. So one of the simple things that I did to start that, I have a welcome mat. And if you've heard me before, I'm very fussy about what does my welcome mat say? Because that's like a message I'm putting out to the universe. Yeah. So my welcome mat says, you know, be our guest. Guest means you can't stay forever, you know, whether it's spirit, human, whatever. So the other day I was so like, just too much going on. I turned it around. So the be our guest faces away. It doesn't face like what's coming in. It's like, no guests right now. I need a break.
So that means next time I have a get together, I'm going to hang something that says leave at 9.
Yeah. Make sure it says PM or AM though, or you could be in trouble.
Don't stay too long. Rachel said only an hour.
Perfect.
I love that. I love that. Well, what I would like to do, if that's okay with you guys, I would like to do some quick exercises. One to meet your sacred self and one to meet your shadow side. This is something that you can do at any time. I'm actually going to turn off my video because I think it's distracting when I do meditation. Let's see here. Here we go. Alrighty. So what I want you guys to do, and this is not something that we have to do all right now because it is kind of time consuming, is that you want to get your journal, any crayons and a pen if you want to. Put on some soft music, help you to relax. I'm only going to do part of this only because I want you to come back to this recording and do it when you actually have time and space to do it. Okay, so just close your eyes. Take a nice, slow, deep breath. Use your breath to quiet your mind and surrender to the process. Just take a couple more slow, deep breaths. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to actually meet our sacred self now. Imagine an elevator within you. Step into the elevator and go down 7 floors. When you step out of your elevator, you will see your beautiful garden. Walk through your garden, and notice the flowers and the trees surrounding you. Look at the lush green leaves and savor the rich smells of the flowers. It is a beautiful day and the birds are singing. Notice the color of the sky. Remember how comfortable and safe you feel in your garden. Take a moment and take another deep breath, inhaling the beauty of your sacred garden. Find a quiet place to sit and create a comfortable meditation seat now. A place where you feel your best. In a moment, an aspect of yourself will come into your consciousness. This aspect will be you at your best. It will be the totality of who you are, filled with love and compassion, with power and strength. This aspect of you is your sacred self. Invite this magnificent being to fully enter your awareness. Visualize yourself manifesting your highest potential. Now ask your sacred self to sit down next to you. Take this aspect by the hand and look at it in the eye. Ask it if it will be there for you to guide you and protect you. I want you to ask it what you need to do to open your heart and let go of any old emotional toxicity that you have been carrying around. Now embrace this sacred aspect of yourself and thank them for coming to see you, and vow to revisit them in your garden often. Now, this is going to be the time that you want to open up your eyes and write about your experience in your journal. What did you see? What did your garden look like? How it looked? How it felt? What did your sacred self look like? What did they have to say? Take your time. The more you write, the more wisdom will be expressed through you. If you're currently listening to this recording, I would ask that you pause this video now and journal out your experience. Just going to pause for a couple minutes, let everyone write out their experience, and then we're going to move on to the next step. I'm now going to move on to the next experience. Just make sure that if you're not finished meeting your sacred self, just continue to pause this, continue journaling, whatever you feel is the best and highest thing to do for you in this current moment of now. So now what we're going to do is we're going to meet your shadow. Close your eyes and take 5 very slow, deep breaths. Inhale to the count of 5, retaining your breath for as long as you comfortably can, and then exhale it as slowly as possible. Use your breath to quiet your mind and go deep within your consciousness. Now, imagine yourself going into an elevator and down 7 floors. When you open the door to the elevator, you see a very dark and dingy place. Imagine the worst possible circumstances. Notice the smells, the filth, the garbage everywhere. You might be in a cave filled with rats, snakes, cockroaches, or spiders. Call forth a place you never wish to go to. When you've created this place, continue to take slow, deep breaths and then look down into a corner into the lowest form of yourself imaginable. Allow an image of you at your worst to appear in your mind. Try to sense and see everything about you. How you look, how you smell, how you feel. Now allow a word that describes the person you are seeing to come to your mind. After you have visited with this person long enough to get a sense of them, open your eyes. Write down the word you received and everything you experienced in your visualization. Now, what I recommend doing is pausing this recording and to write down your experience. Allow your consciousness to express whatever thoughts or feelings it has about your experience. We're going to move on to one more visualization, which will be your sacred self embracing your shadow self. I'm going to pause just for a minute to let everyone journal out any thoughts right now. After you have finished journaling out your feelings, your thoughts in regards to your shadow self, what I want you to do is close your eyes and return to your sacred garden. Create a safe, sacred environment to do your exercises in. Again, use your breath to quiet your mind and to bring you deeper into your consciousness. Now take your internal elevator and go down 7 floors and go into your garden. Walk through and admire its beauty. When you feel the soothing presence of your surroundings, find your meditation seat. When you are comfortable and feel safe, bring forth the image of your sacred self. Imagine basking in all of their light. When that image is established, go in and call forth the dark, shadowy aspect of yourself. Ask your sacred self to come and embrace your shadow self. Allow this all-loving, beautiful part of you to hold the scary, dark, unloved part in their arms. Imagine sending love, kindness, and forgiveness to your dark side. Tell this dark aspect of yourself that is safe and that you're going to spend time understanding and learning to love it. Spend as much time as you need, and don't be upset if your shadow self does not allow itself to be embraced. Often our resistance will show up in visualization. So when you feel you've spent enough time, say goodbye to both of these aspects and come back into your room. Take out a piece of paper and journal in regards to your experience. This is something that you want to try to do daily to continue to work with both your sacred self and your shadow self. And when you feel ready, just take a nice couple of deep breaths in, coming fully back into yourself. There we go. That's wild. Does anybody want to talk about their experience or share about their experience? You do not have to if you do not feel comfortable. Anybody? I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stop the recording that we're going to put up. I'm going to stop the recording. I'm going to stay on with those who are on the call, but I want to thank everyone for joining us here today. My recommendation for working with your sacred self and your shadow self would be to come back and listen to this meditation and then go back at least daily to try to work with your sacred self and your shadow self. And make sure that you journal your experiences. Melissa, anything you want to share before I stop the video?
No, just really, to reiterate that this doesn't have to be something that you do alone. If you need help, seek help from professionals, because some of the stuff that we unearth is really difficult. And obviously, if we knew what to do with it or where to go with it, we would have probably done it already. So, and be patient with yourself, be gentle with yourself as you're doing it.
Yeah.
And just really allow yourself to unfold in the highest vibration that you are meant to be.
It's a really good point. I mean, think about it's taken us, like I'm 44, so it's taken me 44 years to obtain these traumas and the shadow side and, everything like that. So it's not going to be like, oh, well, 30 seconds and I'm good to go. So, all right.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining us. I'm just going to stop the recording. Thank you.